This is the Slaptail Squad. I am your humble leader, master of the universe, the Beeve Man. And even though you didn't ask for it, here it is. Chapter 3, Part 3, whatever you want to call it, of our take on the Karate Kid universe. It's time to get pumped, motherfuckers!
Slaptail Squad, assemble.
And, so, round of applause. Thank you all very much. And, nice job. Hey, I just want to say what a great job you've all done so far on talking about the Karate Kid.
Thanks.
Thanks. You told us not to talk until you talked us in, so is that your way of saying it's okay to talk, Sensei?
Well, I was talking to you and asking for a response, but that's fine. With me today, as always, is my number 2. He's brown. He smells like poo. He's my number 2, the Rons.
Hey. By the way, through past podcasts, you have not labeled me brown whatsoever, nor tan. I am snowflake white, as you would say.
Okay.
Oh, and Skylar, way to go.
Also with us is friend of the show, the boy, Skylar, sporting his Daniel-san rip-off headgear.
Yeah, I put it on just for a second here, but it definitely hasn't been washed since I took my purple belt test 6 years ago.
Yeah, you...
braggadocio.
Well, it's no black belt.
Yeah. Also with us is friend of the show, Andy, who self-professed nerd and lover of... Actually, I don't know if Andy is a self-professed nerd. I just keep labeling him as a nerd because I am a nerd, and therefore I think that most of the people who associate with me in some way or another...
Is he a self-professed lover, though?
Yes.
Okay.
lover of all things nerd, and in honor of this awesome podcast topic, strike hard, strike first, no mercy, sir.
Okay.
Excellent. Words to live by. You know, people may bust on Cobra Kai for that particular mantra, but I kind of agree with it, except for the no mercy part.
So basically you don't agree with it, because that's a whole third.
Yeah, that whole third part, I don't know that's not particularly honorable. If a man faces you, that man is your enemy.
Did you say Batman is my enemy?
No, that man, not Batman. Batman is no.
I do not want to fight Batman. I would not win.
I also do not want to fight Batman.
No
one wants to fight Batman. Not even Batman wants to fight him.
Everybody wants to fight Batman.
Plenty of people want to fight Batman. There's plenty of bad guys out there, Rons.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are, and that's where they should stay.
I would like to right away, though, mention to the whole listening audience that for those of you that don't know, our resident expert in karate is with us today, and that is the number 2, Rons.
I am not an expert, but thank you. Hey, yeah, I'll take a clap. No, not the clap. That's penicillin shot, but no. Thank you. I am not an expert in karate.
Are you not? Are you not an expert?
No, I'm not.
Many reasons why Rons isn't an expert in karate, but he is our resident expert. So he's not an expert, but he is our resident expert. Rons?
Yes. How can I help you?
Do you recall on our first chapter of the Karate Kid universe, or the first part, or whatever I called it, I don't really remember. Do you remember when I asked you what the 4 main styles of modern karate were?
Karate? Yes. Yes, I do remember. I said my answers were Shotokan, Koshikan,
Kyokushin. We covered this last week.
Yeah. Goju-Ryu and Uechi-Ryu. Now, I said my answers right and wrong.
Fucking wrong. You were dead fucking wrong.
Of course. Well,
but of course, we gave you the benefit of the doubt.
Of course. So I'm pretty sure you're going to enlighten us.
Oh, did you not? So when we finished that first podcast, but this is the third one. When we finished that first one, did you feel pretty good about your answer?
No, I just thought those were the 4. I didn't go beyond that. I mean, And I said I could be wrong. You're like, no. You'll be okay. You'll be okay with that answer. And I'm like, okay. And I left it at that. Not everybody also will agree with what I think is the founding style of anything, right?
But it's not really an opinion.
Yeah,
I mean,
and it's not their podcast. So as you know, as the Beeb Man would say, you can go fuck yourself, right? It's as you expressed, it's an idiot podcast. My answers could be right. They could be wrong to somebody. It really doesn't matter. But if I am wrong, school me, teach me. So what are the 4 main styles of karate or original styles?
Well, we're talking in modern times is what I said. So
okay.
What is the 4 main styles of modern day karate? And of course, modern day, you're talking about like from the 19th century to now. Rons, you got...
You were going to say 0.
You knew 2 of them, not horrible. I mean, we already knew that I thought that, I didn't know if he was actually trying to say Kyokushin or if he was just making, or if it was just another form of karate I was not aware of.
Right.
As he kept saying Kyokushin.
No. I was trying to say it, but I wasn't trying to make fun of it. I knew I pronounced it wrong, or I thought I pronounced it wrong. Yeah, it is what it is.
And I knew in my heart of hearts that Waichiru was not one of the 4. But because he answered so quickly and because
so confident,
this is an idiot podcast, and he was confident, I let it go. And I said, he's got to be right. I give him credit. But he was dead fucking wrong.
Credit taken back.
Taken back. It is commonly believed that the 4 styles from which all other styles are now most recently descended, if you will, are Shotokan, Wado-ryu, Shicho-ryu, and Gojo-ryu.
Oh.
In modern times. So great job, Rons. Way to go.
I got 1 right. And 2, I got 2 right. But
you got 2. There you go.
I feel he only got 2 right because we were already talking about Gojo-ryu, so he just threw it in.
Said it. He just threw it in.
He's like, I've heard that it was Gojo-ryu. Fun talk. 4 more things here about karate. And this is what I got from the internet, from multiple sites, all kept naming.
Oh, and if it's on the internet, it must be damn true.
Well, I mean, that was the common thing. Commonly, everybody says the same thing, the same 4. So whatever. The first 3 of these styles apparently find their origins in the Shorin-ryu style from Shori, Okinawa. Oh. While Gojo-ryu finds its origins in Naha, which is in Japan.
Yeah, and actually Naha is in Okinawa. Right?
Nuh-uh, it is?
Yeah, it is. The Okinawan island. Right?
I'm sure Naha's in Japan.
Mm-hmm. What? Depending on how you look at it.
Okay.
Depending on how you look at it?
Yeah.
Or depending on what experts have mapped out there.
Are you saying whether or not we look at a map? Like, if you look at a map, sure, it's there. But if you don't look at a map, could be anywhere. Is that what
that's exactly right. Because when you look at a map, the Arctic is right outside my door right now.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that Japan is not just like a solid country, kind of like the United States, with just Alaska over here and Hawaii down here. That it is a bunch of islands that comprise the nation of Japan. But I don't think Naha is in Okinawa.
Yes, it is.
I don't know these things.
I know for a fact Naha is in Okinawa.
Actually, sir, the United States borders go far beyond our continental United States, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Yes, tis true.
Yeah, and looking at Andy because we've got the video working, he's actually looking it up to see if I'm right, and I am right. Right? And Naha, if I remember the map correctly, and without looking at any type of map, will be in the. I'm going to get the direction wrong, but it's on the on the eastern side of Okinawa.
It says that Naha is the capital city of the Okinawa prefecture, the southernmost prefecture of Japan.
Okay.
Naha is a city on the East China Sea.
See, I was right.
Coast of the southern part of Okinawa Island.
Right.
I really do not want to give you credit, but you apparently.
But in modern
Wikipedia earlier today.
If you're talking in modern time, then would you say then that, of course, that Okinawa is a part of Japan?
Modern times, yes.
Okay, so when the style was created, and now Okinawa is part of Japan, so therefore it is in Japan.
Yeah, okay, Japan.
All right, let's get to the movie with the tree.
No. I'm giving some insight on our past podcast. Also, by the way,
Moving about the tree.
By the way, I'm such a bad practitioner of Tang Sudo that I kept pronouncing it wrong. It's Tung Sudo. Sorry about that.
I was wondering why you would probably study a powdered drink and what it could teach you, but it's all mystic to me.
That's true. It is the art of astronaut drink. No, it's Tung. I apologize to that to all practitioners of Tung Sudo. Please don't yell at me, and I apologize. And you know what's really funny, Rons, is in my notes here. In my notes here, I wrote, by the way, I'm such a bad practitioner of Tung Sudo that I pronounced it wrong. I was listening to myself calling it Tang, like it is an orange drink that astronauts enjoy. So clearly I'm a moron.
So what would Tang be another saying for, though?
I don't know what you mean.
Okay, moving on.
We'll move on because I watched Andy smile there for a second, and he's just shaking his head. This is not a clean podcast.
Low-hanging fruit, Rons.
This is not a clean podcast. We all know that. If it was,
we know that just based on the intro.
Like I say, yes, we're a bunch of idiots. Also, clearly, I'm a moron. Here's where the name Miyagi comes from. For us dumbasses that didn't know.
I thought it came from the script. All right, where does it come from?
The founder of Gojo-Ryu, and not the father of Gojo-Ryu. That's different. The father of Gojo-Ryu is Kanro Higaonna. I'm sure I said that completely wrong. From 1853 to 1917, and his top student, who is considered the founder of the style of Gojo-Ryu, was Gojun Miyagi.
Is it Chojun, or because it's Chojun, so would it be Chojun or Chozan?
Who said it was Chhogun? Who said that?
He's looking up. He's fact checking.
Yeah, I'm fact checking. It's Chojun, so it would be Chozan.
Dude, what the fuck ever?
Okay.
Who knows? You can't pronounce words in English.
Yeah,
I don't think a lot of us can. Well, you're right.
I mean,
you're
okay.
Right.
Jushikin Karate.
All right. So,
hey, I told you I was pronouncing it wrong. I owned it.
Okay, but the main thing is, what is the guy's last name? Who is the quote-unquote founder of it?
Yeah. Again, Miyagi. Miyagi. Or
Andy,
I mean,
if you're going to cut down, if you're going to stop us with logic, there's going to be these dead points. Just let the stupidity fly.
Well, then too, you always have to get at what time did the Western influence hit Japan? So, was that the first name or the last name? Because Westerners put their names differently. So, if it was after 1860 something, would it be? I don't know these things. Also, more things that I want to bust on Ron about.
Oh, by all means, I'm here for you.
Yes, please, I will. By the way, Ron, the fact that you always refer to yourself as a black belt, I take offense at that.
All right, you're entitled to do that. Okay, I'll bite on the hook. Why?
Because you know who does that. You know who does that?
Who's that?
First Dons.
Well, ironically, I am a first Dan.
And that's what I'm saying. They always say, I'm a black belt. Oh, you're a first Dan. Okay, that's cool. That's what it means. I know that's what it is.
I never did that.
That's non-committal.
That's not committal.
Non-committal. So anyway, there's. Would you guys like to hear some of Miyagi's maxims? And by the way, this is. Let me cite my source today. This is Budo Secrets from John Stevens, a nice little book that I enjoyed reading. It's a short read. Takes maybe an hour and a half. And I was going to let the boy borrow it, but now I think I'll probably read it again.
That's okay.
Here are some of.
No, that's okay. I've got Lego Marvel Superheroes for the Nintendo 3DS. I've got all I need right here.
That is awesome. Is that a multiplayer game too?
Not on the 3DS, I don't think.
Here are some of Miyagi's maxims.
It doesn't look like it.
Can you make the Karate Kid in that world?
Maxim number 1.
Maxim number 1. If your temper rises, withdraw your hand. If your hand rises, withdraw your temper.
Oh.
Ooh.
The true victory is defeat of your base nature. That triumph is far superior to the conquering of any foe. The ultimate strategy is to win through virtue and perseverance, not by battle. And this is my favorite one. Heaven, earth, and karate are one. As the sun rises and sets, as the oceans ebb and flow, so does ki or chi, depending on your pronunciation or where you're located, circulate in the human body. Know the relationship between the time of day and the vital points of the body. Very cool. Thanks, Mr. Miyagi.
Yes, I will never say anything that cool or profound in my life.
And now, as we are getting on with it, about to talk about the baby trees.
The movie about the tree.
Ask Rons one more question, Rons.
Oh, by all means.
As I am not a master of karate, but a humble student of jiu-jitsu, a Japanese martial art, Rons, do you know what jiu-jitsu is?
It is the art of folding one's opponent in their dogi.
Oh, okay.
I like that. To our listeners out there, if you could see the B-Man's face because he was ready to get me on something, and I just hit him with that knowledge, that factoid that he taught me in the podcasts.
Well, actually, I was about to tell you what the definition is, and you got it wrong.
Oh, okay, what is it?
Jiu-jitsu is the gentle art of applying techniques to an opponent to teach them how to empathize with the pretzel by turning them into a pretzel.
I have a feeling that no matter what answer I give, it's going to be wrong.
You are correct. You got that one right then. All right, moving on to in my opinion, the worst Karate Kid movie.
But the one with the most trees.
But the one with the most trees. It's Karate Kid Part 3. Take us through it, Rons.
Yeah, honestly, I think that was a rehashed script because when you watch it, it's still a protagonist and an antagonist, right? Like any other good movie, but, the villains,
That's not really taking us through it. Taking us through it means
tell us the plot.
How do we have the plot
I was getting there until I was
theory. He's like, so what happens when a man sits at a desk to write a script? No, just tell us what happened.
I was going to get there, but apparently everybody has their own way of getting to that.
Some of them start with the ending and work their way back.
That would be Pulp Fiction, if I do believe. And that was a very good movie.
It's more than that, but yes, it's a couple movies.
Yeah, Pulp Fiction didn't invent the ending coming first.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah. Oh,
storytelling?
Man, that's just reverse planning, brother.
Okay.
Anyway, I'll break it down then. Let me give you the break. Let me give the Beef Man's
Why don't you give the short expert of that?
Here's the rundown. Daniel and Mr. Miyagi come back from Okinawa. Daniel, for some reason, is looking chubbier than he was looking in the second part.
He's now
even though it's only been a few weeks, and really it's only been a few months since the first movie, Part 1, according to Rons, even though it's just the Karate Kid. He comes back. Mr. Miyagi's looking just a little bit more tan, which is nice. That means he got some of the Okinawa sun. They come back. They hop in the car. They're headed back to where Daniel lives. Big surprise. They're tearing that place apart and get condos. Now they got no place to live. And once again, Daniel's out of house and home. And this is a good way to get rid of his mother, who's not really that essential to the story. Thank you very much. She gets a little few minutes. We finally get to see Uncle Louie, who's clearly asthmatic and emphysemic and really overweight in the back, probably choking on a meatball. So there you go. In the third part, they finally show us who Uncle Louie is. Don't really care. They're living together. They got no money. Mr. Miyagi's all depressed because now he ain't got no job. He ain't got no job. He ain't got no money. But he's got a lot of really nice antique cars sitting around. And I'm like, dude, just go sell your cars, brother. All you do is sell cars. Once again, Daniel won't go to college. He goes and spends his money foolishly, buys some shithole by a railroad track, meets some hussy across the track. Well, she wasn't across the track. She was across the street. They open up a baby tree store. Take us from there. Your take on it then. What happens next, Skylar?
So from there, as I am Googling Karate Kid 3 Wikipedia, because the last time I watched this movie was a very long time ago. All
right, well, then we'll ask Andy.
No. I mean,
I'll jump in.
Andy jump in. Let's get his take. What happens next?
Without having to Google it. It has been a while since I've also watched it, but where you in turn left off, he bought the crappy building, which is in a horrible, horrible location. Like, that's the dumbest thing he could have done. But anyway, so he buys that to open a bonsai tree store with Mr. Miyagi. Which, there's such a need for bonsai trees in and around California area. But anyway, so he opens that. Miyagi joins in, agrees with him, and they take all of Daniel's money, which I kind of find pretty hilarious that Miyagi was mad at him for spending it on the ticket and stuff like that. And then he won all that money in part 2 just to give it away again. But that's okay. So they open it up. And during this time frame, Kreese has come back to town and is living, right? Is he living in the old Cobra Kai dojo, which is kind of run down and just empty? Nobody's training there. He's been kicked out since his hands crashed through the windows.
Basically, all of his students canceled on him. And actually, the funny thing is, he plays a message on the answering machine, and the person on the answering machine introduces himself as, "Hey, John or Mr. Kreese or whatever. This is Pat Johnson from the whatever." Where he's got to pay his dues to stay. For some reason, you got to have dues to play and be which I was like, what the fuck? Whatever. I thought that was funny. I'm like, oh, there's Pat Johnson, who actually introduces himself as Pat Johnson on the answering machine.
Interesting.
But yeah, so basically he's going to book it out of town because he's got no students and he's going bankrupt
And he then reaches out to one of his Vietnam buddies.
Best actor on the planet.
Yeah, Thomas Ian Griffith. Who's super creepy. Now the weird thing is they're supposed to be buddies, right? And in the war at the same time, yet the guy looks a lot younger than Kreese, in my opinion.
Like at least a solid 20 years younger.
Right. Well, the only one that thought that.
What's really funny is apparently he's younger than Ralph Macchio.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
So, and the scenes where they're together and stuff, where he's like all mentory and stuff and touching Daniel inappropriately, apparently he's older than him.
Interesting. Okay.
Daniel's like almost 60 years old, right? Ralph Macchio's like 60, almost 60, 59 or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. Because when they first started making Cobra Kai, he was the same age as Pat Morita when he played it, which was like 55. So that's been 4 or 5 years. So that tracks. Interesting. And I can't remember what's Kreese's buddy's name again? Why am I drawing a blank?
Oh, Terry
Silver.
Terry Silver. Meow.
So Kreese kind of reaches out to him because he's apparently loaded.
No, he doesn't reach out to him. He goes to gives him his keys and saying, "I'm done with the dojo. Take it back."
That is reaching out. That one does consider that reaching out.
Thank you, Beef Man. So Silver gets upset at this because apparently Kreese taught him, or they studied under the same teacher. So he devises a plan that he's going to get back at Daniel and Mr. Miyagi, and he then goes helps Kreese kind of reopen Cobra Kai, and they go get the bad boy of karate, Mike Barnes, to compete in this year's All Valley tournament. Which is it still the All Valley under 18 tournament?
Yeah, it's still the All Valley under. Yeah, okay. The tournament is for the under 18 championship.
Even though both of them look like they're 40, because Danielson looks older and Barnes is older than 18.
Yeah, I mean, Terry should have just competed it.
Exactly. So Yeah, so they get Barnes to challenge Daniel. Daniel doesn't want to compete because as Miyagi's plan after part 2 was, his tournament career plan was for early retirement.
Right.
Which I think is Miyagi also saving Danielson the embarrassment of getting beaten by somebody who's trained for more than a year and a half.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But so then Silver, Daniel and Miyagi have little spats throughout the whole thing because of the business not starting off as great as they want, but also Daniel wants to fight in it, but Miyagi says he doesn't have anything to prove, and the only reason he fought in the tournament the first time was to gain the respect of Cobra Kai and the bullies who were beating. So there's really and I agree with Miyagi. I mean, there's no need for Daniel to fight in part 3. There's no need at all. And then hijinks ensue. Daniel
ass kicked. But
ass kicked. Terry.
The entire movie was about a hijinks episode.
Exactly. Terry Silver takes Daniel under his wing and probably gives him some of the most realistic training we see, and some weird back rubs and massages throughout the whole thing.
There's a lot of touching.
Yep. Kind of turns Daniel's teenage angst, which he should have been over by now because Ralph Macchio's 35. But
yeah, nothing like
he takes that
older
kind of
men just touching you to make you feel normal, right?
Super weird, yes.
Super weird.
Yep.
He starts
and then it
from
all
the beginning
culminates with that whole, tournament, which for some reason now Daniel doesn't have to fight in it. And I thought that Johnny was the reigning champion, so why do he have to fight through all the other tiers?
Because it was a new rule that year.
Oh, okay. You're right. Good. Okay. Excellent point. So culminates with the tournament. Again, the All Valley under 18 tournament.
Yeah, the under 8 tournament was great too. That lasted about 30 seconds.
See some actual talent.
Yep. So, and I'm sure we'll get to the end. I don't want to spoil it for people that haven't seen it yet. We'll get to the awesomeness that is the final fight, which is the weakest in the Karate Kid sequels, easily.
Just terrible.
Barnes does not know a lick of martial art. Barnes does not know.
Obviously,
you can't tell me he knows anything. I don't care. If he does, he did a great job of pretending that he didn't know anything for the movie.
Yeah, we got to talk about characters and these subplot lines and just the total horribleness of this movie. There were things that I liked. Not
like
much.
what?
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so there's a scene. First of all, can't stand Terry Silver. Can't stand that character. I bet if you go online and you type in worst acting scene in a major motion picture, I bet he's gonna pop up. There's a scene where he's like in a towel, supposedly talking to Kreese, who's getting a back rub in like the Philippines or some shit. Worst acting I've ever heard. He's just a terrible actor. Not only is he a terrible actor, he's a creep fest. What are you doing, Ron?
I'm typing in worst acting in a karate movie ever. I want to see if you're right.
I bet I am. He touches everybody. He touches Kreese when they first meet each other. He touches Daniel all the time. He's always rubbing on somebody. It's very gross. Every time you turn around, he's touching somebody.
He's super handsy. Yeah, super handsy.
Very handsy. Now, there is one funny scene that he's got, though, and it's the scene where after basically some hijinks ensued and they destroyed a bunch of the trees that they had as their stock and stuff, and Mike Barnes, who's supposed to be a bad boy, total pansy, comes into Daniel's backyard, trespasses no less. I don't know why Daniel doesn't just call the cops. Whatever. Guy comes in. If you come in my backyard like that, I'm not going to show you my awesome karate. I'm going to hit you with a brick anyway. And he's kicking the shit out of Daniel as usual. And Terry comes in because it was all part of a plan. And he's got a book in his hand. He blocks a bunch of Barnes's punches with a book, and then he puts the book up till he's like, you see this? And his book is like on Mike Barnes's face, and then he hits the other side of the book with his hand and punches the kid with a book. That was fucking hilarious. And then the kid grabs his chest. He's like, "Get your hands off me! Get your hands off me!" That I thought was hilarious. That was my favorite part. He's still disgusting and touchy. All the other things.
Yes, that part was. Yeah, I totally forgot where he beats the kid up with the book.
That was the best. Made me want to hit somebody with a book.
Exactly.
Bring a book to the dojo. I'm gonna hit Ron with it.
Well, thank you. Hit me with some knowledge.
Is that he sneaks into the Mr. Miyagi's house at night, which was super creep fest also. And here's where I also have a problem with these dirtbags. He sees Mr. Miyagi's Medal of Honor, and he scoffs at it. Okay, you would have to be the biggest piece of shit on the planet to ever serve in the military. Not that there aren't a bunch of them, but to look at the Medal of Honor and scoff like you're a badass, no. If you see the Medal of Honor, you're bowing down, basically.
You know, and on that scene though, right?
I don't know.
Well, they also said the background on Kreese and this guy is they both served in the Vietnam War, right? So if you see what's that? Yeah, yeah. Don't throw my game off. But when you see that, if you see someone who's got this Medal of Honor, you automatically know what that is. And you should show the proper respect. Even if you're a dick, to get that, you have to be a total badass to get it.
I think I said that. I believe that's what I was.
That
saying.
might have been what you were alluding to, but yeah, that was a total, not to know what it is in the movie just shows that, that wasn't a good scene.
The other thing that's interesting is we get some actual insights into where their karate comes from. Because if you remember, when, again, Terry Silver, he comes into their backyard as if it's any of his right, while they're doing their forms, and interrupts them and bows like a douche, and says that he just came from South Korea, or he came from Korea, and his master, Sun Young Kim, gives his respects. I'm like, oh, okay, so there you see that they take Korean karate, which
and
is,
there you
shut
go.
up, Ron, goddamn you!
I was going to say, that's where the Jun B comes from, that you mentioned. Even though they're using a Goju-Ryu style.
They're not using a Goju.
Miyagi's using a Goju-Ryu style.
Is trained in Cobra Kai, which is clearly Tung Sudo.
You actually had to think about saying that word properly. I commend you.
Effect.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was dramatic effect rounds.
I'm tying it in. I was showing that every once in a while you will see, now that we watch it again, mostly because of the Cobra Kai series, like where was it in the backgrounds that they were alluding to where these guys actually came from. He says he came from Korea and his master is Sun Young Kim, and he pays his respects. And then he says that Kreese was a member of their whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, basically says that Kreese kind of went off and did his own thing and kind of apologized on the art's behalf to Miyagi and Danielson for the way Kreese acted.
Which is a lie. Totally a lie.
Total lie.
And he calls him, is this your student? And bows. I'm like, what is the big deal about winning the All Valley Championship?
Yeah, under 18 Valley Championship.
Nice job, guys. Yes, you are known throughout the entire world as winning the All Valley Championship. I don't think that's true. I just got to say, I don't think that's true. Incidentally, I've got a tournament trophy in my office that's really big, almost as big as Johnny's second place trophy.
Where did you buy that at?
Not as cool looking. It's the wife's. It's Swan's trophy.
Oh, well, then I know she earned it.
She went and got and fought in it, and it wasn't the under 18 though. Trust me.
Yeah,
40. It was the under 40.
I can relate, Beeve Man, because Carrie's got 2 huge trophies for coming in second in fighting, and second. It was either first in fighting, or first in forms, or second in fighting and second in forms.
Hey, listen, this is not about your wife. This is about the trees. So we.
No, I was going. I was saying that I relate because I don't have any big trophies. So.
Right. Well, that's not surprising.
Yeah, I know. But it's more about the trees and how we can save the environment.
No, we forgot the part where they break the tree over the knee.
Yeah, subplot.
Yeah,
man.
subplot.
You want to walk us
for a movie being called Karate Kid Part 3 has the least karate of any of the Karate Kid movies in it.
Even the tournament has no karate in
No
it.
karate in it.
Well, that's
They don't
because he
even-
doesn't fight in the tournament.
He doesn't have to. He's
Right.
the winner of the
New
all
rule.
new rule.
I hear that's very common in tournament fighting. I'm going to have to ask the actual tournament fighting expert that I know. Say, how many times have your students not had to fight from when they won a tournament? Yeah, that doesn't happen. They still have to fight.
Yeah.
But this
And
is
this
their
is-
movie. This is their show. They can do whatever they want. Your take
Exactly.
on the Karate Kid 3. What did you think, Ron, when you saw it?
I looked at it from 2 points of view.
Oh, God, please. Please give us both points.
Strap in real quick.
Yep. Get ready. Get ready, listeners. The question is
Gonna
not
be
going to
some
be
serious-
answered while it's being answered.
Hold
It is
your
you know,
applause.
Serious. We're gonna
Hold
get hit
your
with some serious
applause.
karate.
From a movie point of view, it was an okay movie. Just if you stripped it away for the technical expertise and all that crap, you just watched it for, we'll say, a popcorn movie. It was an okay movie, right? Bad versus good. Good guy comes out on top. All right, really good. And it had, how the tormentor just bullied Daniel all the way through, but he came out on top in the end, right? Now, from an expert point of view, or I should say a martial arts practitioner point of view.
No,
Yeah, I
you
knew
said
I said
expert
that was
first.
true.
You
You
did it.
say expert.
No, I'm not an expert, but from a person who's done martial arts,
Now you've
Yeah.
just done. That's it. Now
Yeah.
it's just done martial arts.
there are certain things that I've learned at the dojo,
God, I hope so by now.
and that it looks real obvious to me. Like when you're, the lessons that I've learned, I'm pretty sure the lessons that you guys have learned, right? And you see these lessons not being adhered to. Like, I've never seen once you guys, the Bead Man, Andy, and including Skylar in that, be any less than cordial to anybody who's willing to listen or talk to you, right? And it doesn't matter from what style they come from, right? Now, with me and you, it's good ribbing. You come after me, I come after you. Yeah, everybody knows us. That's good. But for someone on the outside, yeah, hey, I'll listen to you. Yeah, oh, this is what you do. This is great. I didn't see any of that.
So
Right.
if I may, what you're saying basically is the same thing. My takeaway from it is that this practitioner, these martial artists are not martial artists. They're pieces of shit. And if you were acting like that in the tournament in the first place, that kid would have been disqualified. Not a bit.
At the end
He
of
wouldn't have
that.
been allowed to fight.
Yeah.
Not even at the end. You know that to get there in the first place, he was a dick in every match. He would have been disqualified.
Yeah.
He would have
And
been.
when
He wouldn't be allowed to fight.
And when I saw that, that ending, that floored me. Right now, I turned it off because I've been in a few tournaments, and the first thing that they do is they don't, right? Yeah, braggadocious, but they don't allow that any type of that stupidity whatsoever on the floor. If you showed that type of disrespect at any given time, you're given a warning. But if it shows like it's persisting, you're out the door. And I know for the movie's sake, they just said, okay, that's great. Right, build up the climax and then boom, it's over. But yeah, that ending was just totally bullshit in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, he walks by Daniel and just punches him.
Yeah.
Like, you wouldn't have got a
Yeah.
warning. He wouldn't have got a warning for that.
You got
He'd have been-
ejected.
He'd be done. He'd be done.
And the thing is, it would have been, I'm sorry, it would have been it would have been not just one referee, but like a whole shitload of referees coming at him, right? And there's no way that would have happened. I saw something similar actually happen like that. It was an Olympic match, Taekwondo, and the guy was not happy with something. I think it was an Olympic match, and he was one of the top contenders. And the referee said something, right, because he couldn't walk off an injury, and he kicked the referee, and he got a lifetime ban. His coach got a lifetime ban. That was it. It was over and done with. This guy shot his own career down, right? And I can't. I didn't like the ending like
But
that.
guys, he was in Black Belt magazine as the bad boy of karate.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He was.
How
Hello.
can I forget that?
How could you forget the moniker, the bad boy of karate? We're gonna have to start calling Ron's the bad boy of karate.
Oh, please.
I know.
No.
Black Belt magazine always features kids.
Kids always
Yeah.
features, yes, local kids. Right.
Always gets such a major spread in Black Belt magazine.
You know what? Say what you know. We like to look back and we talk about the first movie, and we hold it in such high regard compared to this one. And you can look at it. Even Johnny and his cronies were following the rules. They weren't pushing Daniel. They weren't punching him before the match. They were competing in the matches as they were supposed to do. Barnes is just a dick. The entire movie, there's nothing redeemable whatsoever. Johnny and his guys have redeemable qualities, even though they're meant to be annoying. The guy that hurts, I think his name's Bobby, the one that hurts, Daniel kicks him in the knee. He's excellent because he jumps down and immediately says he's sorry because he's worried, he's trying to appease Kreese, but he's also not a complete douchebag, and he knows that, and he's also the one the whole movie. Every time Daniel's getting beat up, he goes, "All right, guys, I think he's had enough."
Right. Like, you just ruptured his spleen. I feel like he's had enough.
I mean, sure, we just pushed him down a hill while he was riding his bike, and he could have broken every bone in his body. I think he's had enough. But yeah, this movie is just
maybe
the
he could take a
complete
little
opposite
more.
of that. And what's with Barnes' little lackey, the guy who's wearing the button-up shirt, who doesn't fight or anything? He's just a dude there to be annoying.
He's supposed to be a bad boy, and he's supposed to be there to help him get in trouble and have fun. And his name is Snake.
Snake, that's it.
Snake.
Snake.
What a tool. Like, what a douche. Yeah, there's nothing good about the movie. Yeah, I mean, really, honestly, the only good thing is we finally get to see Mr. Miyagi beat the fuck out of Kreese and Terry. That's cool. Yep. And Barnes. He beats them all up, which is awesome. Yep. It's always good to see that. And make fun of him because Terry's doing his wah, wah, and Mr. Miyagi does it back to him, which was hilarious.
Yes.
But yeah, the subplots were lame. I mean, he doesn't even have a real romance. The girl totally comes on way too strong and then says, I just want to be friends. So you're like, what? Okay. That took a weird turn. And I'd be like, okay, well, I ain't got time for your bullshit, girl.
Exactly. Daniel just came off the love of his life in
twice
Okinawa.
Twice.
Doing the whole tea giving ceremony. Survives a typhoon and goes and helps the town and saves Kumiko, and she's like, I'm gonna go dance now. See you, Daniel. Like, he has the worst romantic relationships of any leading actor.
Yeah, but at least they explained what happened with Kumiko, but they didn't explain what happened with Yukie. Why didn't she come back with Mr. Miyagi? He rebuilds her house. Why? Why would he just leave? That's supposed to be his new love. Why didn't they end up being together?
Yeah, they actually rekindled it. Yeah, exactly. That's an excellent point that never gets brought up.
Yeah, that's really that has always bothered me. I'm like,
the movie wasn't about her. It was about karate.
The movie's not about karate. What part of it is about karate?
The title.
About Mr. Miyagi and Danielson's relationship and their friendship. That's the number one thing. But yeah, I guess you're right. If Yukie had come back with them, then Daniel wouldn't have been able to move in because Miyagi would have had honeymoon number 2.
Yukie, why you no marry?
I wait for you.
You no marry, Yukie. Yeah, terrible movie. I don't care what anybody says. It's terrible. It's terrible. That's a terrible movie. Terrible acting. Terrible subplot.
We haven't. Sky, what's your opinion on the movie?
Sky was too busy pulling the hair out of his beard, looking like he's got mange.
It's literally just too. I cut it yesterday, so it's nice and scratchy. I don't know. It's pretty forgettable. I've only seen it once, and
it's forgettable at that point.
Compared to the other movies, which you can go back and watch any amount of times, the third one is that one where you've seen it once, you don't need to watch it again.
I agree.
I'd say that about the fourth one for sure. Also, that's why I think that's part of the reason why it pisses me off so much, because the first and second movies, I still don't know which one's my favorite. I mean, you can't say that about most movies.
Mm-hmm.
Because I like them both. I mean, a lot of times I'm like, the second one's my favorite. Well, I like the first one. Well, the second one's my favorite.
It kind of flip-flops back and forth.
the one thing about Terry Silver's character is every time he did something evil, the camera panned over to him and he smiled like it was like the actor was breaking character every time. Like, I remembered my lines and I said them and now I'm going to smile. He just couldn't maintain that straight face whenever he did something evil. He always had to smile like creepy.
No, I think that they did that on purpose.
You realize he was actually told to do that, Ron.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was a documentary. Thank you.
It was a documentary. Yeah, a multicultural
documentary on the history of karate. I had no idea.
I will say this. We finally did get somebody who actually shows some martial arts skill in that movie. In out of the three movies, we finally see someone, although he is a horrible actor, we finally see someone who has noticeable martial arts skills.
Yes, martial arts skills that translate to screen. Yes, for sure. But
he's a terrible actor.
Oh, yeah, yes. Well, I'm at the point now where I try not to say things are terrible or bad because something is always somebody's favorite thing, so I don't want to crap on it. So I'm just going to say, to me, very little in this movie resonated with me and stays with me, whereas number 1 and number 2 fully resonate, and I can watch them over and over and over again, and I don't feel the need to go back and rewatch this one. So that's my thoughts on it, and I will leave it at that.
Ben, who are you talking about in the movie?
What do you mean?
Who showed somewhat martial arts prowess in the movie to you?
Oh, he's getting ready to fact check you.
Terry Silver.
Oh, I thought it was Patty Johnson, right? Pat Johnson, who was a high-ranking black belt in Tang Soo Do, who played the referee.
He doesn't fight in them. He's just a referee.
He doesn't
show any skill.
He was an actor in the movie.
He's not even in the third one.
I told you the fact checking was coming.
Oh, thank you.
And the Beef Man also preferenced
He always drops down to the most minor of things. I'm like, what difference does it make if the best boy grip is a fifth Dan?
Can you name that best boy grip? I can.
Because you know it on a screen. You're looking at it.
Hey! Don't peek behind the curtain.
The point is,
you're right.
Bringing up shit. I'm like, the guy who played Terry Silver, you can tell he actually practices martial arts.
Yeah, he has ability.
Yeah. No, I'm not disagreeing with you.
We know once again, yes, we do know that Fumio Demuro played as the stunt double for Pat Morita. Well, we've already mentioned him. We already know him. We also don't get to see him do too much. But the opening scenes where you first see Terry, he's fighting two guys. You see him do forms with very high kicks, so you know that he's doing most likely some sort of Korean martial art. So you can tell that he actually knows how to do some stuff.
Oh, yes. He holds black belts in Kempo Karate and Taekwondo.
And there you go.
And I feel since they don't say what rank or what Dan he is, it's just a first Dan. Because usually they'll specifically write out, if he has a third or fourth Dan but either way, he holds 2 black belts, which it does show. He's got considerable skill compared to the other actors that are cast in these movies.
Well, definitely.
If I would have never seen the first 2 movies, I'd still give this movie a thumbs down.
Well, the question you have to, an interesting question now is, because they're most jumping ahead a tiny bit, they are most definitely going to bring him back in for Cobra Kai. Do you think his acting is still going to be bad, or is he going to tone it down?
I think that it will be bad because that is his character. I think they're going to tell him, hey, you got to stay in character. Whether he's a better actor now or not, I'm sure he is. It's been freaking years.
And
I think that they're going to make him be in character.
Yeah.
I would agree with you. Yeah, they're going to make him that same type of character, over the top villain type character. Yep.
Yeah. Because, not to get into Cobra Kai too much, because we're waiting for the 4th season to come out. There's been 3 seasons. I don't know if we've all seen them or not, but they've already done a really good job of making you hate John Kreese. I hate him. I hated him the first second I saw him. So there's no way that I don't think they would want to change Terry Silver's character. I think they're going to want you to hate him just as much as you hate Kreese right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe even more.
Yeah, maybe. I I just watch that show now and I hate Kreese so much that I'm like, God, that guy could be the nicest person on the planet, and I fucking hate him. Fucking hate him.
That's the problem with character actors sometimes, is that during the filming of the Karate Kid, William Zabka, right, was getting booed and everything, and his mother, I guess, would say he's really not that bad of a guy. He's a nice guy. And once these actors,
I don't think his mom was saying he's really not that bad.
Yeah,
that's like saying he is kind of bad. That's like he's kind of bad.
He's kind of a dick at times, but we all can be.
Yeah, but you get and Skylar, you're in the movie industry, that when you see these actors get out and they're acting, right, and they're total dicks on stage, and when they get out, they're the nicest person out there. You're like, wow, you're nothing like that character I just saw you do.
Yeah, depending, because some actors still are like that. A lot of them are still, a lot of them are not just in character. They're in character and then also playing themselves. Because we had, when I was on set of I got to be on set for a day of a DC movie. We had, there was one guy, and there's just basically a bunch of anti-heroes. One guy who is still he's still pretty famous. He was coming out and talking to the extras and like giving high fives and like saying hello and asking how everybody was doing. And then a very high up A-list actress who is definitely one of the leads of a movie just walked out and pretended nobody was there. So there's still like a huge big difference.
I think
you gotta imagine that they live their lives, their professional career is a lie. I mean, that's what they are. They're professional liars. Their identity is tied to that. So even if they are nice people, or I think probably a lot of them have no personality whatsoever, would be my guess. It's got to be a hard life. I don't think that I'm not saying I wouldn't want to do that, but if somebody gives me some money, it'd be nice.
So what you're saying, if we pay you enough, you'll be a dick 24/7?
Actually, I don't think I could do that. No, I don't. I don't think so.
You're a nice guy, actually.
That goes against the martial way. That goes against living the Budo life. You know what I'm saying?
So that brings me to a very interesting question, because we all are practitioners of martial arts.
Are we?
Are we? So when you watch the movie with the martial arts practitioner's eyes, how true did it stay to its tenets that you believe in, or that should be exuded through the tenets that are followed by most martial arts?
Well, that's what we're saying. That the whole bad guy area on the other side is horrible. They're not following the way of the martial artists at all. But yet, like you said, in the first movie, the Cobra Kai kids have redeeming qualities. They're not bad kids. They're trying to learn karate. And in the second movie, Chosen is just misled. But yet at the same time, he has a very strict sense of honor. His honor is just misguided. He's still a very martial person. He's still living his way of the warrior, even if it's slightly misguided. He still has a lot of honor. So these guys in the third movie, they have no redeeming qualities whatsoever.
No. And the weakest fight scene. I, again, try not to shit on things because it might be something, but there is a scene where Barnes grabs Daniel, and it's like he's doing a weird little kick to his butt over and over. He's like kicking him 3 or 4 times, and it looks terrible. He's not even extending his leg. It's like his knee's bent, and he's just his like foot swatting him. And I was like, that's what we get in this. Whereas at least Johnny and Chosen, actually put effort into their training for the role.
Right. Well, yeah, you look at and it's the same choreographers for the movie. So, I mean, I'm basically your main person is Pat Johnson, and you're just wondering if he's looking at it and going, this is what I got to work with. I've got 1 or 2 scenes that I actually have to choreograph. I got to make these guys look something, and I got to show something.
Yep.
But it's not. But again, the movie is so far away from it being anything about karate at all. It's about, like we said, relationships between between Daniel and Mr. Miyagi, and that they're actually having some problems, and maybe he doesn't understand him or whatever, but there's still all about them building a relationship and whatever. But it's Oh, this is just not a. It's not a karate movie at all. It's not a.
No.
It's not even a. There's some redeeming philosophical components to it, but other than that, it's.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, it's.
Mhm.
The fourth one's better. I mean.
Yeah, which is saying a lot because I think the part that resonates most is at the end when Daniel finally admits that he's scared, and Miyagi tells him, "There's nothing wrong with being scared. Just get up." And
Except we're all going, "Why? Why are you scared?
Yeah, why
You
are you scared?"
chosen.
I know. We do have to. You have to suspend some disbelief, but I at least get it. And plus, you can tell that Ralph Macchio is probably at that point in his life, just like he's like, "Hey, I'm not even going to train for this, guys. We're just going to show up." And poor Pat Johnson's like, "All right, well, we're going to do this kata, and then you're going to flip him and chop his chest." He literally does nothing in the thing. And that was probably, 30-year-old Macchio just wanting to not worry about training, not worry about diet, not worry about anything, just enjoy himself. And
when you watch that end scene after he flips him, his punch that he does to his side is the worst punch I've ever seen because it's so exaggerated. He literally lifts his arm way up in the air to hit him. I'm like, no, when they're on the ground, you don't even have to hit him. You just go.
Yeah.
You don't have to lift your arm up. You literally just tap them. That's a point. You don't have to go. You don't have to stand up and hit it like it took everything out of you with this weak ass punch. But yeah, I mean, it's so ridiculous to watch. You're like, this is the worst. Correct. This is not Barnes. Is nothing compared to. That's what angers me the most. The opponent that he's fighting in a tournament, you can't get killed. Nobody's gonna kill you in a tournament. No. You can only go so far before the referee stops it anyway. You have no risk of really being hurt in that tournament. But yet, he fought a life-death match with Chosen
months ago.
Yeah, literally not long ago.
Not that long ago. We're not even less than a year. Less than a year ago. But
so interesting fact. He never
used the drum technique. He didn't use the drum technique once.
Done
correctly, no can defend.
Interesting for Karate Kid 3, Paula Abdul was the dance choreographer for the film. So she probably taught them some moves.
The one scene where Daniel busts that guy's nose open, which is probably my favorite scene of the movie, next to Silver beating the shit out of that guy with the book. So yeah,
choreograph. I mean, there was not much there. It just Daniel spinning. He always liked to spin. He got to spin.
I thought he learned that in the second one with the drum technique.
Yeah.
All right, well,
he was his mom's dance partner, but yeah, we got to move on, right?
Yeah, we got to move on to the final Karate Kid movie, if you will, before what I would consider the next generation of Karate Kid, the fourth movie or the next Karate Kid, starring none other than Hilary Swank, playing a teenager who is, you guessed it, 20 years old. Not that bad.
Still not that bad.
Right.
Still not that bad. The redeeming quality of this movie is you get some insight into Mr. Miyagi's past life. But other than that, there's some pretty funny monks. They're kind of cool. You get to see Hilary Swank before she actually becomes a major actress.
Mm-hmm.
And wait for it. Oh, she does some forms that are karate forms. So that's actually noticeable. Common karate forms. I think she's doing Naichi. However you pronounce it. But other than that, this movie is too rapey. It's too creepy. The boys in it are just a bunch of rapists, basically. And it was just gross. It was a gross movie.
Yeah. The fact that this out creeps Terry Silver says a lot.
When I watched that movie, thanks for asking, by the way, is that when she gets supposedly busted with the cigarettes, one could, I don't know. I've been around kids who smoke and they reek of it.
Why?
Right? When I was in high school.
Why are you around kids that smoke?
When I was in high school.
You were trying to be cool, Ron, hanging out with the cool kids?
No. I would buy
this 40-year-old man. What are you kids up to?
Why is he? Yeah, I was like, why? Are you
Yeah. Thanks for making it creepy, Sky. But no, it's
It's what you said.
Hey kids, it's me, the Rons. Hey, who
Yeah.
wants
Leaning
some
up
cigarettes?
against
and
the
Way to go, Andy.
Okay,
Way to go.
huh?
Just jump on that
Cool.
bandwagon. Just push
I
me
got
over
some
the
candy
edge.
in my van too. Come on.
You guys
You'll
going
be
to
like-
Chili's after this?
Are you gonna be like the Cobra Kai? Just run me off the cliff? No. It's like
You run yourself off the cliff. It's okay.
when I watch that movie, I'm like, I don't know. There were so many plot holes. It moves so fast that it was just anger, angst, and hero. That was it, right? And there was no explanation. There was no. I didn't want it long and drawn out, but I wanted it explained a little bit better than what it was, right? It was just, I tried to follow it. She gets suspended for 2 weeks of school, and then she goes back, and now she's got to fight, and they're burning her boyfriend's car. To me, it's like you could have actually,
Yeah,
I don't know.
too many plot holes.
Yeah,
Too many
exactly.
things that are just unbelievable. One of the things that I thought was really kind of bizarre is that there's a scene where she was really angry and she storms out of the house and the cars come in. The police delivery man almost hits her, but she jumps up in the air and does some, lands on the hood of the car. And Mr. Miyagi's like, "Whoa, where you learn that? You learn Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon from." And she's like, "Oh, my dad taught me." Here's what I don't understand. Mr. Miyagi's in World War II. Supposedly, he teaches his commanding officer Miyagi-Do karate. So you mean to tell me in the period of time that they're in World War II, Mr. Miyagi shares every secret about his martial art with a white guy, a Westerner, during the period? When were they fighting? The guy's got a Medal of Honor. You mean to tell me they weren't fighting all the time? When did he have time to teach that guy karate? Not only that, he taught him so much that he retained all this information, and then he taught his son all this information. And in the period of time that his son was alive, he taught his daughter a shitload. What universe does that happen in? Oh, the Karate Kid universe, clearly. But
you have to
apparently-
suspend disbelief or belief. Sorry. You were saying, Sky?
Well, apparently, due to my limited internet research, it is called the Miyagi verse.
is it really?
Yeah, the first 4 films.
I had no idea. So I call it the Karate Kid universe, but you're saying that it is the Miyagi universe.
It has been dubbed the Miyagi verse.
Miyagi verse.
Interesting.
Okay, I can see that.
I like it. It's pretty cool. So in time speeds up in Miyagi, or is there, because time is actually a Jeremy Bearimy, there are parts where time is expanded and where time contracts in the Miyagi verse, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The Cobra Kai, the TV show, is also a part of that expanded universe now. But I think the whole reason that it's even like a thing is because of the reboot, and people are trying to figure out where the heck the reboot fits into everything.
Oh,
you mean like
simple.
you mean
it
like the
doesn't
Jayden
in this
Smith?
story. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Jayden Smith one. That's its
so
own
you
thing.
mean like there is no connection to that? I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know how they could find a connection between them because it's in China, it's kung fu, and you can argue, I guess, that karate comes from China. That would be your loose connection, but then that would connect all of us. So
Well, apparently people are asking enough times of the Cobra Kai writers that they had to mention they're not going to use any characters from the reboot, which is like the whole thing.
I personally really like the reboot, but I don't see why people have a problem with the reboot. But anyway,
Maybe they
I don't
should. You
either.
know what? One of the questions they should ask is if they're going to use any of the Karate Kid characters from the cartoon.
Definitely not. Well, I mean, Daniel, I guess, technically.
Technically,
yeah,
Daniel.
he's from,
Yeah.
you know,
The cartoon was great, by the way.
Oh, you're welcome.
I was talking
yeah,
about you. I
you
was
didn't
actually
write
talking about the cartoon. You had nothing to do with the cartoon, other than bringing up.
I
Yeah,
honestly
did you
don't
actually
think
watch the
I've-
cartoon?
Of course, I did. Yeah, back in the day.
Because the Beat Man told me not to bring it up, but I'm bringing it up anyway because it's part of the Karate Kid universe, right?
It's
Actually,
Miyagi
the
verse.
Miyagi verse.
Well, that one's not part of the Miyagi verse. That's
I know.
Oh,
That one's not canon.
Oh, okay.
It's literally a show about them going on magical adventures that do not happen in real life.
And it all happened in Daniel's head.
Yeah, and then
You know,
Daniel woke up.
You know what else I don't like about these movies? If you notice that there's a lot of racial slurs in these movies.
Yeah, a lot of people. Yeah, it's definitely a product of its time, unfortunately, which is sad.
Yeah, I mean, you get a couple of them, here and there in the first, they call Mr. Miyagi like a nip or something like that in the first movie.
Yeah.
But by the third movie, it's over the top.
Yep.
It's rapey. That third movie is very rapey.
Mm-hmm.
Very disrespectful to women, that third movie.
Well,
the fourth movie, it's horribly disrespectful. It's just completely a rape fest.
Well, you know what really got me, since you're bringing up the topic of racism in the third movie, is when when they use that derogatory term for the Japanese, Miyagi's Japanese heritage, and I'm like, dude, you studied a Korean style. I mean, if you had, you're putting all the Asians into that. How could you not respect the guys that taught you? I mean,
Because they're disrespectful pieces of crap.
yeah. Oh, yeah. If I go ahead, Andy.
I believe
No,
that
I
was.
was just going to say the same thing, because if they in turn did, then we would have somewhat of a redeeming quality about Silver and them in those characters, but we have to hate them.
Yeah,
So.
I as far as them making us hate them, they did a good job of making them
Right.
irredeemable.
Right, but they
Well, you
didn't
have to
need
remember,
to go
though,
those.
too.
They didn't need to go those avenues either. You could have left all of the slurs out, and I still would have hated him because he was a terrible character and his fight sucks.
Well, and you have to also remember that there is no kind of what Ron said about them respecting those people, that culture. They don't have to, because they weren't trained by them. You have to always remember that. Even though that's what they said, he's like, "Oh, my master, Sun Young Kim says," they weren't trained by them.
Right.
They were trained by a guy who was trained by them. So none of them ever trained in Korea. None of them ever trained under. We won't see that. They're never going to reveal that they actually were trained by some grandmaster in Korea. I don't think they're ever going to say. They're going to say that no, they were trained by an American soldier who was trained in that martial art.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the funniest scenes on that is when Miyagi gets even with him. Is when he comes into the dojo, throws the kid back in.
We already talked about. Do you remember that? When we talked about that,
but no. Well, it's one of the funniest scenes to me is when he throws the kid back through the door, and they said it's party time, and he does all that wah stuff, and I like that, and he just dodges him and throws him into that plate glass, that mirror, and he just taunts him, with that wah and the hand gesture, and
yeah, hey Grandpa, do you remember we talked about that earlier?
Yeah. And I remember that
the Beef Man even did the hand motion in the video.
I did. But he was talking so much, I just wanted to throw in my 2 cents.
I was just about to say, I'm like, is Ron's literally bringing up what Beef Man said about 35 minutes ago?
Yeah, no. That's what he liked.
Gesture for gesture.
No. I said that was one of the funniest things I liked.
Okay.
Right?
But
that was the levity I liked.
Yeah, but we've also moved on from part 3 to the next one.
Actually,
yeah. There wasn't too many levity moments in the next Karate Kid. There wasn't. I mean, it was just that. So I was
my absolute favorite
the monks were the best.
Oh, yes, my absolute favorite part was when the guy mocks Mr. Miyagi by going "woo" and puts his hands up, and then Miyagi throws him through the plate glass window and then mocks him back. That's probably my favorite part of the whole thing.
Mine too. Right. And then
Go ahead.
I was going to say, then in 4, it got really campy when they went bowling. That scene was so campy. It was, I couldn't laugh at it. All I could just they're actually going to blind that guy, put a blindfold on and let him bowl. And it's like, the pins want to fall. And I'm like, no way does that ever happen.
Well, how about when it went into the gutter and came back out of the gutter?
Yeah.
I think part of the thing that gets lost in the third and in this fourth one is that Miyagi's not perfect. In the first movie, he gets drunk and is sad about losing his wife and child, and there's some flaw there in the
And
later
real quick,
movies.
Pat Miura. Sorry, Pat
Oh.
Miura. I can't say
He
his
was
name.
so excited.
Yeah, I was so
Morita.
excited. He got an Oscar nomination for that scene.
Right. Yes.
The
But then
scene.
in later movies, in like 4, he's almost walking on water. Like, he does no wrong and stuff like that, which I don't mind because I love that character. But I was more of a fan of the human version of that character, not who, because towards the end they just wrote him that he could do anything. I was like, well,
Yeah, kind of like I thought it was really unfair because so they're at the monastery, they're eating, right?
Mhm.
And Hilary Swank like takes her shoe and she's about to hit a cockroach. And the monks all, oh, you gotta respect life. And Miyagi treats her like shit because she was gonna hit, she shouldn't act that way in a monastery. Okay, well, first of all, you know what? Get off your high horse, Mr. Miyagi. Did you explain any of this to this teenage girl before you took her to a monastery? And how weird is it in the first place that you are somebody she's never even met before? You send her grandma off to, who was a horrible actress. She's right up there with Terry Silver in bad acting. You send her to tend your flowers in California, and this girl doesn't even know you, and all of a sudden you're taking her to school and all this other shit, and then you expect her to act a certain way. A little bit fucking weird. I would have some problems with that as a teenage girl. I'd be like, what? Who's this guy? A little weird.
Agreed.
Just saying. Well, that's not in these guys that are that are playing the bad guys. They're all rapey. They're all disgusting. In what world is it that? In what world does the security guard of a school have say over what a principal does?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah.
No, everybody would think you're a bunch of fucking nerdy weirdos, not that you're cool.
And then
Man,
rides
I gotta
along
get
with the
this
cops.
I got to get into this group of guys, man, because that's going to get me into the Air Force Academy. No, your grades get you into the Air Force Academy, my friend, not hanging out with a bunch of fucking weirdos. And who's going to let some adult punch kids in the face? This movie is totally bullshit.
I won't jump ship on that, but it does happen in the Karate Kid universe. It does. Think about it. I won't mention it, but yeah, I want you to think about it. It does happen.
Yeah, I know it happens in the Karate Kid universe. I meant in real life, Runs.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Yeah.
Yeah, I know it happens. I know it because that's the example I'm giving, is that there's an adult and he's punching kids in the fourth movie, and they're allowing him to do it. So I know that it happens.
Well, no, it happens in the universe, the Karate Kid universe, but I won't allude to where it's at because we're not there yet.
I'm so confused.
Yeah, if you check my background, you'll see where it happens.
I think he's talking about the show.
Yeah, he's talking
Yeah,
about the show.
what I said was, where in the real world is that happening that would be allowed on high school property where some adult is punching the children?
That's what dodgeball's called. Yeah, you play dodgeball.
Where are you? What school is allowing the security guard to
Play dodgeball.
just punch them in the face in the middle of a circle? Yeah, I don't think that would in real life.
No, I don't know.
Oh yeah, let's get our friend Bill on there and find out how often Bill is allowed to punch children.
Right.
Let's clarify that Bill works with the disenfranchised children that wind up in certain situations.
In juvenile detention centers. Again, they're not allowed to do that, so it doesn't happen. That's what I'm saying. That shit is not. It would not be legal. An adult man should not be punching children in the face.
That puts them in their place. I'll tell you that right now. You'll never have an 8-year-old mess with you if you do it now.
I do not agree with that whatsoever. And besides, I've watched your people practice, and most of those little kids probably could drop you quite easily.
They could. They could. I am frightened of little hands.
The last thing I have to say about the Karate Kid: The Next Generation, I didn't understand it. It was just a little bit weird. It was clearly just let's milk the franchise again and let's make a movie. But the last part, the ending scenes, of course, you got to have the culmination fight scene. Why why does Hilary Swank feel the need that she must fight this guy? And even asks Mr. Miyagi, let me fight him. Why? They just committed a major crime by blowing up a car. They're going to go to jail. You don't need to fight them. You need to walk away, call the cops, and they will all go to jail for quite a while.
You know, that's the thing, though, because the main character, what was his name, Duggan? Or Duggan? Right? Rode along during the break-in at the school, the second time she broke in, and his goons were there. He rode along with the cops, so he has a pretty influential pull with the cops, so they could... Yeah, the car, they could have said somebody... And if he had his... those kids such under like a fascist rule, right? To his way of thinking, it never happened. We don't know what happened, right? So, if she didn't fight him, they wouldn't have backed down.
Again, makes no sense. If she fights them and beats them up, by that same logic, they can still say that nothing happened.
True, but
what difference does it make if she beats the guy up? That doesn't change anything. Other than Mr. Miyagi, who says you shouldn't fight. Oh, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, fight him. It's cool. Because you just have to have a fight scene. It's poorly written film. It's just, still not as bad as the third one, in my opinion. It's so not. The worst part about, well, there's lots of things, but the thing that's really bad about that movie is that I had to pay to rent it. I couldn't find it on any of my free sites on any of the sites that I already pay for. It was not available. And then you know what happens? Guess what I saw that they have on Netflix today?
What's that?
I'm going to guess the movie.
Oh, really? Oh, it's start of a new month. Oh, jeez.
So it's on, and I was like, you have got to be shitting me.
So you couldn't go to YouTube and watch the synopsis of the movie then? That way, because you remember it's a bad movie?
Well, sometimes you think that when you watch it the first time, it's so bad that maybe by now, that because it's been so many years, maybe it actually is not a bad movie. And so I was giving it the benefit of the doubt because I knew, I've seen the third movie more than twice, and I know how bad it is. And so even though I did watch that one again just for continuity, I was like, well, maybe the fourth one, maybe the next Karate Kid really isn't as bad as I remember it, and it's actually worse.
Right. Yeah, it could have been one of those when I first saw it, I was still mad that, Daniel wasn't in it, and I didn't really give it a fair shake. And then you watch it again, and you go, nope, it doesn't matter who was in it.
So bad.
Now,
it's still a horrible movie.
How realistic was the movie, though? Could he have caught that arrow that was shot at him?
You mean, could he have let go of the arrow?
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, whatever the way you want to say it, but could he have, that arrow was, I don't think I've ever seen anybody catch a speeding arrow to the chest with their hands.
Well, I mean, he didn't. You mean when he let go of the arrow and they pulled it back and then they reversed the clip, you mean?
Yeah, sure. I
mean, that's how they did shit back in the day.
Well, let's ask our resident movie guy. Is that how they did that?
Things way more high tech now, but
they still do it down that way sometimes.
Do they?
So, Sky, when you watch the movie, how realistic is that scene?
I haven't seen the fourth one.
Oh.
Now that I know it's on Netflix, I'm gonna watch it.
You are? Are you really? You're really gonna watch it?
I've seen the final fight scene, which I didn't know that was the final fight scene because it's so small. It's literally just Hilary Swank beating up these like three guys with sand in her eyes. And I didn't know that was the final fight, but I've seen it. And I was like, oh, I thought that was just like the middle of the movie. But
nope.
But yeah, it's literally the only thing I haven't seen. So I do have to watch it at some point.
It's just a movie that's disrespectful to women all the way through is basically what it is.
It gives me
because
it was made in the 90s, and it gives me the same vibes as like another movie that takes place kind of like at a military school that's insanely derogatory, which is Child's Play 3. I'm like,
yeah.
I'm like, why?
Better movie. Actually, a better movie.
The third one is fine, but I don't know
It's
why.
funny. Chucky's movies get funnier.
Right. They don't get scarier. They get more funny as they go on.
But that's the association I have now in my head. I'm like, if I'm thinking of the fourth Karate Kid, I'm also thinking of the third Child's Play movie, and I'm like, so I can't take either of them seriously.
Yeah, the only good thing, one of the good things about it though, is I think they did a good job with picking Hilary Swank, and it's a little bit hard to watch because she's such a good actress, and so it's early, so you're like, oh, I know she's a much better and she's not a horrible actress in the movie.
No,
I mean, she's still really good. She's really good. But thankfully they picked her because, and I always thought maybe she knew some martial arts, but apparently she doesn't. But she was a gymnast, like a teen gymnast champion or something. No. So that's cool because you're like, when you watch her, you're like, that girl can kick high. I mean, she's a good kicker. So you can see that she's got some real skill and utilization of her strengths with that movie, which is nice. So you actually watch it, you can actually believe that she knows something, which is new compared to the main character in the other movies.
Yeah. Well, since we know most likely that Terry Silver is coming back in season 4, then do you think they're going to ignore or bring in somehow Hilary Swank at some point? Because they're really hitting every movie already anyway.
They are. They've brought, without talking about Cobra Kai too much, because we can do quite a big podcast on that one, which I'd like to. They've hit the fan service, man. They brought, spoiler, Chosen's in there, which is awesome. We get to see him. We get to see Yukie. I actually wouldn't mind seeing Hilary Swank come and kick some ass. I'd love to see Hilary Swank come and beat the fuck out of Terry or something. That'd be awesome.
I think it'd be cool. I think the only thing probably stopping it is does she want to do it or not?
Right now, I'm on her IMDb page, and I'm not seeing her in that.
Season 4 hasn't even started.
Well, they haven't started filming season 4.
But usually they set out the contracts early.
Spoil it.
Well, but yeah, certain things they'll keep quiet before it goes to IMDb. So
okay.
Plus, usually those aren't reliable because if people start searching this person on IMDb, stuff will start popping up. That's a lot of how it works on there, because that's happened a lot of with the Marvel movies. People are like, did you hear this person's in the Marvel movie? And then everybody Googles it and it starts populating results because so many people are searching it. So that's what happens.
With that, would they bring back Michael Ironside's character, Dugan, or Dugan, however you say it?
He's not even he's not even important. You can't tie him in with the Cobra Kai villains. They don't know him.
Right.
The only one
you could possibly bring in would be Mike Barnes.
Yeah. Mike Barnes, Terry.
And I would love to see Johnny kick the shit out of Barnes. Just kick the shit out of him. Just
so Johnny be like, why were you afraid of this douche? This douche? Exactly. This douche here? Or really what should happen is if Daniel is just too overwhelmed, he just needs to get on his phone and call Chosen. Like, hey, dude, can you come back here and just kick the shit out of everybody? That'd be freaking awesome. Bring a couple of your awesome students. I just got dancers. My students are dancers. So, if you could just bring some real students, that would be awesome. I think it would be cool. Hilary Swank would be cool because I think that there's a possibility they could get her only because that was her breakout movie. And so she probably has a soft spot for Karate Kid. And maybe, but the thing that would be hard to get her was if she has a high price tag, because she probably still.
Yeah, but she's also made a few Netflix movies. Now, granted, Netflix has a lot of money to throw around, but
and they are Netflix now. So.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I think probably if they do decide to do it, honestly, I'm sure Cobra Kai will have a season 5. They already confirmed season 4 before 3 even came out, and then season 3 was an incredible success.
Huge. Yes.
Yeah, so
it's gotta end. If it goes more than 5 seasons, that's too much.
I think what they'll do is literally at the end of season 4, just have Hilary Swank walk in the door, and then there's your tease for season 5. I'm sure that's probably what they'll do.
She walks in. She's like, "What a shithole!" Walks out.
So Mike Barnes has expressed, the character Mike Barnes, Sean Cannon.
Nobody
has
wants him back though. We don't really
Yeah.
care. About him.
He's a,
Yeah, no, he has expressed interest in reprising his role.
I'm sure he has.
probably wants
He
money.
probably
Because he's done not jack shit since then.
He probably wants money.
He was probably in like soap operas, and that was about it.
No, he's been in quite a few movies, actually. He's been
Okay.
constantly busy.
He's carrying the torch.
and what we've seen or to give us shit about.
Not really, unless you watch soap operas.
So, like I just said, soap operas.
And
Like,
he was right.
Yeah.
like Andy said, soap operas.
Yeah, soap operas.
No,
Well,
Well,
he's
we didn't
actually
really
done
get
busy.
to. We didn't get to the next Karate Kid or the Karate Kid again.
it's almost
We didn't
the-
get to that
they-
one.
It really just takes the same beats as from the first movie, though. It's brick and brick. It is pretty much just a remake of the first one.
But it's not.
But it's not. There are certain subtleties, right?
Okay. Ron's explaining the subtleties of Karate Kid cinema. Go ahead, Ron.
Oh, thank you. Well, we won't get into it right now, then. But the one.
Oh, what? You just
No. Because the one thing that stuck
Go
out.
ahead, man.
And
I want to hear your take. No, let's do it. Let's do it. I want to hear your
I'll
take.
just give this teaser. Is that
No teaser. Let's do it. I want to hear it.
no? I haven't seen the movie.
He doesn't know.
No.
That's why he doesn't want
No.
to. He doesn't know what
No.
he's going to
What I
say.
was going to say is the one thing is when you think it's going to be all this Asian mystic stuff in the beginning, and he what I like is when he gets on the plane and he's trying to learn the language and he leans over to the guy. What's going on? He goes, I don't know, dude. I'm from Detroit or wherever, and I thought that was just a great scene.
That was your take on the movie. That's
No,
how
What
it's
does that have to do
no,
with
This is how
Are
it's
you
different.
saying? Are you saying that it's not a remake because they're on a plane? Is that what your whole justification was?
No,
Because
no.
the first movie has them driving a car that barely works to a plane that functions properly in the remake.
Yeah, let's draw that conclusion that hopefully the plane barely functions, and okay, everybody get on the wing and push in the air. Hopefully it'll make it all the way there.
You know what? Now you're making fun of. You just called it a plane. That's just
No, I said
what Ron.
He's also
That's
saying
terrible, Ron.
plane.
he's also saying an Asian-owned airline can't afford a decent plane
How do we know they flew an Asian airline?
because American Airlines doesn't fly to Japan,
Or China.
Or China, yeah.
China.
No,
You know what? I don't care what anybody says. I like that movie.
Yeah, it's
Jayden
still
Smith
good.
did a good job. He did a good job of getting all athletic about it. They actually picked the kid who was the bad guy. That kid's an actual martial artist.
Yep.
Has been trained since he was a little fella, and is still, I guess is still a major martial artist now. So he was cool. Got Jackie Chan, also awesome. Again, though, think about what I said. I still feel like they should have picked a black actor living in China who was American, who should have trained him in karate. And my last pick for who should have starred, which I didn't say this the first time, and I should have, was Wesley Snipes.
Ooh, Wesley Snipes. I'll take it.
He could use the money. I'm sure he would have said yes.
Yep.
Yeah, but no, I think that would have been cool. Personally, I think they should redo it. Redo it. Do it my way. Do it my way.
And who would you have as the
Are you
child
really
actor?
gonna?
Well, it wouldn't be Jayden Smith because apparently that kid's like a billionaire now. So
He's rich.
Stuff.
He does whatever he wants.
Apparently, I think he's worth like $1 billion. I think he is a billionaire.
He's insanely big.
Yeah, that young man is quite the entrepreneur. Has done very well for himself. But yeah,
With
no,
his,
I don't know.
with his dad's
You
money.
I mean, but he made, what did he make? $2 million off of the Karate Kid, something like that.
Something like
Sure.
that. Yep.
But
Something like that.
he's spent money on being an entrepreneur. He's done a good job. He's
Yeah,
made a
he
lot
did.
of money.
He has a whole program for Flint where he's helping provide them with clean water as much as possible and all that stuff too. So he's been in Michigan a lot.
Yeah, he's a big environmentalist.
Good.
Fashionista, environmentalist. Yeah.
Musician, what can't he do?
Okay.
Supporter of what did you call it? gender rights, if you will. Looks good in a skirt, that young man. Skirt. I myself would wear a kilt. I would wear a kilt.
What's the difference between a kilt and a skirt?
How it's
One is
spelled.
Breeze. Okay.
Well, that's been our podcast.
My organic jokes aren't working
And
well.
with that,
And with that,
So we'll get into.
well, I would like to say that I enjoyed the Karate Kid, the remake, the reboot. It was quite good. I liked it a lot. But yes, I think it should not have focused so much on Kung Fu because it was not karate. It was Kung Fu. And say what you will, you could actually say that I was reading actually the other day this book that was given to me by my friend when I was in high school, and it was produced. It was written in 1976, and the co-author is Bill Wallace. And in the beginning, they actually do talk a little bit about the history of karate or karate, however you want to pronounce it. And there's some interesting theory there. I don't know how accurate that is, but you know how usually we say that karate comes from China. If you say it comes from China, obviously everybody thinks it would come from Kung Fu. But there's other, I guess, martial arts that are not necessarily Kung Fu that come from China.
Yep.
So it was quite interesting. So you could say that it doesn't come from Kung Fu. You could say it comes from Chinese boxing, whatever that's called, Szechuan, or whatever. So very interesting.
According to the Miyagi universe, it comes from here, but never here.
Most of that was off camera.
but
I'd say-
excellent point because nobody listening can see it.
Well, anybody who's watched the movie knows.
It's an audio podcast, Ron. It's an
Okay.
audio, the video aspect of the podcast is for us, not for the listeners because they can't see us. See, that's how it works.
I have a question, and I pose this to each and one of you. What is your favorite movie then? Of all time, doesn't matter. I know we're talking
That's
about
a
Karate
completely
Kid.
different podcast, and I don't
Yeah,
have
I
time to
can't.
do it.
No.
I can't do it.
Ron, this was the worst ending question.
Worst ending question of all time.
That's not my ending question, but the thing is, I said,
Please make it your ending question.
wow, listen to you, Skylar, coming down on me. Wow, you got to get out. No, I had mentioned to somebody that this was the B-Men's favorite movie of all time. They're like, of all the movies out there, that's his favorite.
That's not what he said.
That's definitely not his favorite.
And I'm just clarifying to make
Ron's
sure.
a liar.
I'm just clarifying this thing to make sure I
Was wrong.
get the facts right or wrong. Yeah, for that matter.
I do not know what my favorite movie of all time is.
Nor do I.
It would have to pop into my head immediately. And probably, actually, when you said that, because you go with what your subconscious thought is, and the movie that popped into my head, I'm not even sure that's my favorite movie of all time, but it must be one of my favorite movies. But it was kind of surprising, but I guess it must be because your mind makes those decisions
The next
automatically.
Karate Kid.
No, it wasn't. That wasn't it.
Well,
It was The Princess Bride. It was The Princess Bride. The Princess Bride popped into my head.
A movie they can never remake.
But they will
If they
probably
ever
try.
do,
But it's a
they're
great,
gonna
I
it's a
try.
hope
great
they
movie.
don't. I
They
sure
did.
hope they don't.
They
because
barely made it the first time. It's a miracle it got out.
Right.
Still one of the greatest. One of the greatest.
Agreed.
All right, so I guess we'll wrap it up then. That was part 3 of the Karate Kid universe because I did not know that the Miyagi-verse existed. So I'm still going to call it the Karate Kid universe. And, one of the plan then is to in the future we're going to have to discuss Cobra Kai before season 4 comes out, and then when season 4 comes out, we'll have to binge watch that and discuss that one also.
So
For the listeners, yes,
I was going to say, are we going to do one about the karate? I know we just talked about it a little.
I'm going to do the cartoon.
No, we're not going to do the cartoon. But are we going to get more in depth about the Karate Kid with Jayden Smith?
You said
it was the same thing. You said it was the same thing. So
I said there
told
were
you to
subtle
start talking about it,
differences.
and you didn't
If
get it.
you've seen the first one, if you've seen the original, you're gonna you know what the reboot is about. Just flip it.
I can tell you why. I can tell you partly why the Karate Kid, the reboot, is not realistic. Let me tell you why.
They wouldn't have
All
sent
right.
his mom to China.
No, they do that. Oh yeah, they do that. The motor companies, sure they do. They offer if you want to go, you can go.
And they'll send your whole entire
They'll send
family
you.
there. Yep.
They will send you.
That's
That's not the unrealistic part about it. The unrealistic part was this. Jayden Smith got his ass kicked. His mom, ass.
She would kick
She
some
is
ass,
not-
for sure.
Detroit mom is not going to sit back and go, oh, hell no.
Yeah.
That ain't happening. No.
Excellent point.
Yes. But no, I guess we're not going to talk about that one. We're gonna tie everything in with the Cobra Kai when we decide to discuss that one. So we're going to wrap that up for now. I will leave you with this story from Budo Secrets, which brought a slight tear to my eye as a Budo practitioner. Yeah, see, this is why you're a bad student, why your sensei hates you. All right.
My sensei does not hate me.
Okay, strongly dislikes.
Hates.
I will have you
It's
know I'm a
amazing.
practitioner and I hold a white belt in several styles.
My belt
a
is
black
canvas, just like Mr. Miyagi's.
JC Pence. $3.19.
$3.99.
A long-time acquaintance told me this story about his kendo teacher. I'm reading this. I don't know this person. My kendo teacher suffered a stroke and fell into a coma, and since I was on the staff of the hospital, I was able to visit him just after he came in. When I arrived in his room, he was making the shouts used in a kendo contest, even though he was still unconscious. After a bit, he came to, and I asked him with whom he was fighting. Emma, he told me, who is the king of Hades. Who won? I did. I beat the hell out of him, he said with a smile. He died later that evening.
Oh,
Dear.
here indeed.
Good story. It's a good story.
Excellent story.
And so I thank all of the participants of the podcast, even Ron's, my number 2.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, without you, this podcast wouldn't exist.
And I would also like to say that the plans are, like we said, with the continuing the Karate Kid universe. Also, for the listeners out there, you will be happy to note that we'll be doing a Beeve Man and the Daughter soon. And the plan will be to try to do one of those every quarter. And the plan is now, as she is older, I will be picking movies for the daughter to watch that I enjoyed 20 years ago to see if they stand up to the test of time and to get the daughter's opinion on them, because I'm sure it's going to be really good.
So now that
And I
she
will
is
be inviting-
older, I'm sorry, now that she's older, will she be allowed to swear on the podcast?
There's probably a good chance that I will not be able to stop her from swearing on the podcast. She has said adios mooch fuckos in my absence. Also, I will be inviting participants as guests who would like to join us for the Beeve Man and the Daughters. And it probably won't be Ron, but that's okay.
Oh, geez.
I like to reserve the Rons for the Slaptail Squad. And give
No,
them a
you
break.
know, I don't mind doing this. If I could do this, you've really hit the nail on the head when you invited me first on, and you said
I was
if you
trying to say that I didn't want it was my way of saying that I didn't need you to do it, but now you're pushing the envelope, you're pushing the issue. I was trying to get other guests on to do it.
Oh, do you want me to
My
get you other
sir.
guests? I will. I'll get you as many guests as you want. Who would you like? Right?
Well,
So-
that's our time.
No,
That's right.
I understand. I know. Listen, I understand what you're saying. This is quality time with your young daughter before she goes off to college and turns your hair gray.
Yes, that's it. Thank you for allowing me to have special quality time with my daughter, Ron's. Thank you very much.
Thank you for
And
blessing
that's it
us,
for
Ron.
me. Yes, he's a very generous, very
You're welcome,
generous, humble
Sky.
soul. Thank
Dobby,
you,
his
Ron.
master has given Dobby a sock.
Sky, you're just egging him on, and you realize that he's going to come at me. He's going to try to throat punch me. What did you say? I didn't say it. Skylar did.
Come at me, bro. Come at me, bro. All right, well, then, on that note, then, I will thank everybody, and I'm going to wrap it up and say, as always, from the Beeve Man, because the Rons likes to introduce and say who he was saying what. Adios, muchfuckos.
Goodbye.
Bye.
That sounded great, Rons. Way to go. Way to close it out.